British.
This room doesn't look very Bavarian to me, Heike.
No, it's totally un-Bavarian. Basically, all this furniture is from England, and everybody coming to me said, "Oh, your living room looks like England."
You've even got a Union Jack over there.
Yeah, I brought it with me. I couldn't part from it, although it's only plastic. All right.
Heike's already packing up. Given the urgency of the situation, she's agreed to drop everything and come straight over.
This is a huge life change, isn't it? What will you miss, do you think, about Germany?
The pretzels?
Pretzels?
Yeah. They're exquisite. Bavarian pretzels, to die for.
Ever had a Cornish pasty?
Yes, a couple of years ago. Not bad, I say. But pretzels are exquisite. They're lovely.
The furniture van arrives in town next week. Getting Heike and all her furniture right across Europe to Scilly will be an interesting logistical challenge. On St Agnes in the Scillies, the digger's all ready to begin work. It'll be cutting through the soil beneath plough level for the foundations of Sam and Laura's new house. But nothing whatsoever can happen until Catherine the archaeologist arrives. She's en route from the museum on the main island of St Mary's to spend the next few days scrutinising the digging of the foundations. There are no cars on St Agnes, so Sam's there to give her a lift to the farm on the other side of the island.
Hiya, all right, how you doing? Do you want me to take one? We're on the, put the stuff in the quad trolley.
Yeah.
There are only 67 people living on St Agnes, and Sam's farm is one of the remotest buildings on the island. After a very bumpy ride, there's no time for small talk. It's straight down to business. Under Catherine's relentlessly keen eye, the inch-by-inch examination gets underway.
Just have a look at the section while he's not digging.
Yeah.
Everything must be measured and recorded, and the soil constantly analysed. Tension grows as the hours go by.
I'm looking at the section to see if there's anything you might see, a depression there which is filled with a different coloured soil, which would indicate that there are likely to be something man-made there. Could be pits cut into it or foundations of earlier buildings which might cut down into this level, and then you would expect to pick up traces higher up as well in the way of stone or other finds, bits of pottery, flints, that kind of thing. Nothing as yet.
The first trench seems to be clear, but the family still have a long wait to see if there'll be unpredictable and possibly very expensive delays to the building of the dream cottage, or even whether it'll ever be built at all. On the mainland, Father Guy still has duties to attend to before he can concentrate fully on Scilly. As the run-up to Christmas gets underway, his parishioners are preparing the mother of all farewell parties up at the local pub. Father Guy uses the village pubs a lot to keep in contact with many villagers who don't normally go to church. And as church warden Peter Hayden knows only too well, he'll be sorely missed.
It's been a very emotional time for people here because he's only been here 3¼ years, as you know, and everybody's just got to know him and love him, and he's just got into the community. He is part of the community, that's the whole thing. He's brought the whole community together, all the various aspects of the community. The 3 churches, the churches together now, really operate together as they were a bit apart before. And he is a symbol of the whole village.
He's reached out to non-churchgoers too.
Oh goodness, yes. Well, hopefully we might see that later on when one or two of them turn up. And I have it on good authority that quite a lot of them are actually going to go to church on Christmas morning to his last service, some of the non-church people, which is a wonderful thing, really. I mean, he's just reached everybody's hearts. It's as simple as that, really, by being ordinary, by being one of the people, one of the village. And that's what a village priest should be, I think, really. We are. Everybody's going to miss him. I think the turnout you see here and on Sunday will prove that for them. We will all miss him.
The vicarage is already beginning to look bare. This year there'll be no Christmas tree for Father Guy's two girls, Alice and Clary. His wife, Kate, has already arranged for much of the furniture to go into storage, ready for the move. Father Guy himself is extremely nervous about tonight's big farewell party. It'll hammer home the realization that there's now no going back.
You've still not been sleeping?
No, not very well. That's concern for the future. Am I doing the right thing for my family? Christmas, just the busyness of it. And yeah, having to say goodbye to all these very good people in this wonderful community. And yeah, it's a pretty emotional time for me and the children and Kate.
Do you find saying goodbye hard?
It's not easy, no.
Kate thought there might be some tears tonight.
I fear there might be. I'll try not to. Oh, yes, I'm afraid. I think she's right. There'll be tears.
In the next programme, the island's new vet, Dr. Heike Dawn, arrives on Scilly and has a first look at the surgery where she'll be spending so much time.
Look at this.
I wonder what that's for.
There's still a long wait for Sam Hicks to see if he can begin work on the new cottage. Any major delay will have serious consequences.
We're staying in one of our self-catering lets, and that's booked up from Easter. So if we can't get into the house by then, we're back in one spare room, Mum and Dad's house, which for the three of us and all our stuff is going to be pretty awkward.
And amidst huge storms and gale force winds, an exhausted Father Guy and his family at last arrive on Scilly.
Here we are.
New home, new life.
Yep. Exciting.
It's nice to be here.
Wonderful.
It is.
Yes.
In his old parish on the mainland, the villagers are preparing to give Father Guy a huge send-off before his long-awaited move to Scilly.
He's brought the whole community together, and he is a symbol of the whole village. We will all miss him.
Sam Hicks is nervously waiting to see if the archaeologists will delay or even stop the building of his dream cottage.
So you actually have the power to stop the building work?
Yes,
So they really could be in trouble if you find something?
they could, unfortunately, yes.
And at her home in the Bavarian forests, the island's newly appointed vet, Dr. Heike Dawn, prepares for the 800-mile journey west to Scilly.
I have been on the Scillies before, some years before, just for vacation. And I thought, that would be lovely.
winter has well and truly set into England's remotest parish, the Isles of Scilly. With constantly changing weather fronts storming in from the Atlantic and making normal island life impossible to predict. Even in the harbours, nothing's moving. And with his trawler Marauder holed up in the safety of the inner quay, Martin the trawlerman hasn't been able to put to sea for 4 weeks. Up at the airport, flights in and out of the islands are being delayed for many hours, and sometimes days. But the work of the priest must go on regardless. Whilst they're waiting for the new chaplain, Father Guy, to arrive, retired priests Donald and Margaret Marr have been battling through whatever weather to hold the fort on each of the 5 inhabited islands. And even when the sun does come out, the wind rarely seems to drop. This isn't a job for the faint-hearted.
What a gale, Donald, isn't it?
It's a blow, yes. Not a gale, it's a good strong blow. And a lively sea.
A very lively sea, I'm putting it modestly. Do you ever get seasick? You're looking a bit green around the gills.
Pass!
On Tresco, they're using the time to spruce up the island pub, where today Donald and Margaret have one of their last duties to perform before handing over to Father Guy. It's almost the end of term, and the island's primary school children are using the pub for their early Christmas lunch.
Is it as good as it looks? Yeah.
I think I'm only going to be offered a sprout, if anything, though.
A non-sprouts, man.
I thought you wouldn't.
Yeah.
After nearly a year of such a relentless workload, Donald and Margaret are only too ready to hand over to the new chaplain.
Yeah, he's married to Kate, and they have 2 daughters.
His Christmas card to us said, looking forward to seeing you and being with you. And then after it, in big letters, it said, help.
Over on the mainland, in the old fishing village of Mullion on the south Cornish coast, they're warming up for what will probably be the biggest party of the year. This is a chance for the villagers to say farewell and thank you to their departing parish priest, Father Guy Scott. His final service will be on Christmas morning, and then, next week, he and his wife Kate and the girls will be en route to a new life on Scilly. Father Guy's only been here 3 years, but he's thrown himself into every aspect of parish life and has earned the respect and friendship of church and non-churchgoers alike.
Right, it gives me great pleasure to present you with this engraved tankard. All right, it goes with our very best wishes. We hope to see you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Father Guy uses the village pubs to reach out to people he'd normally never meet.
We have a little surprise for you. The newly incumbent.
Someone who's become a great pub mate has tonight mocked up a dog collar, pretending to be Guy's replacement. He's Len George, better known as Lively, and he's one of Mullion's best-known characters. Lively never goes to church. In his time here, it's been Father Guy's ambition to get him to come to a service, with no luck.
Thank you all so much for coming tonight. It's wonderful to see so many of you. Particularly good to see my successor here this evening.
Father Guy's been a leading figure in the pub's singing group, and tonight they've written a special farewell song in his honour.
With Kate and children side by side, the vicar on the ferry rides. We've grown accustomed to his face, and there's no one can take his place. Oh. Where did you learn to drink that way?
At Father Guy's new home, the chaplaincy on the main island of St Mary's, church warden Fiona Maybury and her team are busy giving the place a makeover.
There's a sort of excitement, anticipation, but they're quite excited that there's somebody finally coming, hoping that he'll fit in. To move here, you're very isolated, so if, there's that added thing, if you don't get on or you don't like it, it's an awful upheaval to go away again. So you're really stuck here.
And he's very much in the spotlight in a community like this, isn't he?
Yes. I mean, everybody will know from, I should think, within the first couple of days exactly who this new gentleman is walking around, whether he's got his dog collar on or not, they'll know who he is. So word does get round very quickly on the islands.
Over on the smallest of the islands, St Agnes, they're busy digging the last trench of young Sam Hick's new house. The work is being rigorously scrutinised by archaeologist Catherine Sawyer, who has the power to delay or even stop the project if anything of historical interest is dug up. For the first few days, nothing was found, but now the digger has stopped and all work put on hold. Catherine hurries over to examine two new finds they've seen glinting in the soil.
I found this glazed pottery. This is late 19th century at the oldest. It's quite difficult to date little sherds like this, but as I would say, I think they're probably late 19th or early 20th century.
Are these pieces significant?
No, they're not. They're things that have been dropped, or someone's put some rubbish, compost or something on the field at some stage, and these have found their way into it.
So you're not going to say down tools at this stage because of these two?
No, not for these.
That's why the Hicks are all looking quite relieved at this
Yes,
stage.
that's right. If they were prehistoric, I'd be more excited and they'd be more concerned. But as I say, these are 100 years old-ish.
With the all clear from the archaeologist, cement can at last be poured into the foundation trenches, and the building work proper can get underway. As usual, Sam's father Tim is on hand to help. They're already behind schedule, so it's all hands to the pump.
So Sam, you got the all clear from the archaeologist?
Yeah, there's nothing here. We just need to get the cement in tonight now. But yeah, it's good news, it's all full steam ahead now.
This is fantastic news for you.
Yeah, we're pretty chuffed. He's given us the all clear, we've been around and you can see we're obviously all the way down, nothing's turned up at all. So yeah, we're really happy that it's one more hurdle out of the way, if you like.
Now comes the logistical nightmare of getting everything they need for the building work onto the island and across to the farm. This is the first new building on the island for over 20 years. Every brick and every nail has to be brought across the water from the mainland. Dramatic changes to the weather have also delayed the arrival of someone who is key to the future prosperity and well-being of the islands. The new vet was supposed to arrive here yesterday morning. But now, more than 30 hours later, the helicopter carrying Dr. Heike Dawn on the final part of her journey from Bavaria has just touched down. She seems remarkably unfazed by her ordeal.
The flight was okay. It was a bit bumpy, but it was okay.
Because it's very stormy out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, I had to wait a long time till I could get the helicopter, but now I'm there.
How long have you had to wait?
I arrived yesterday at 10 o'clock in the morning in Penzance.
And it's now 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So
the next day.
It's a long wait.
Yeah, so that was a bit long. But okay, I'm here.
This is life on the island.
Yes.
Heike's being greeted by the long-retired island vet Malcolm Martland, who along with his wife Liz will be looking after her and getting her settled into island life. First stop is Old Town Bay on the south of St Mary's, and an introduction to her new home, the newly renovated vet's house with one of the most beautiful views on Scilly.
It shouldn't be locked.
Never locked, is it?
It's never locked over here. After you.
Wow.
Beautiful view.
Yeah.
Wow.
She'll live here with her 5-year-old boy Sammy, who'll be joining her in a few days' time. She'll also do much of her work here. At the back of the house is the little purpose-built surgery.
I wonder what that's for.
What is that for?
It's an emasculator.
It's for, yes, that's
Yes,
the one.
exactly. You know, removing two spherical objects from a male being.
We call it castration.
Yeah.
Let's embrace the word.
It's very effective.
We do large ones as well.
Yeah, you should see my Bordizzo one.
Yeah.
Long one, really. Long.
There's been no vet on Scilly since early summer, and there's much to do. For Heike, it's straight down to work, with a visit to a cat who appears to be going blind.
Hello, I'm Heike. Hi.
You're not, gosh, you're freezing.
No, it just looks like it. It feels like it. Hello. She doesn't see anything. Pupils are wide open.
She can't see, can she?
No.
This morning, she was walking around in there, which is most unusual for her, and hitting her head
Right.
on things.
Feels like dehydrated already.
Heike decides to inject some antibiotics.
It's going to get better again, at least part of it, you know.
Yes.
So she will see a little better in a few days.
The question now is, how will this slightly eccentric single lady from Bavaria go down in such a remote and
Not
tight-knit community?
Okay, it's all right.
Over on St Agnes, the foundations are all in place on Sam's new house, and the family are busy laying the floor. Some of the building supplies have already arrived.
So you've got bits of the house scattered all over the place.
Yeah, we're lucky that we've got loads of fields to put everything in.
The freight costs of this must be enormous.
It's a real sort of challenge over here, is the freight, but you know, you've got to get it here and sort of that's what you've got to pay. So we budgeted for it and you just accept it.
So how much more, in a percentage term, does the freight cost add to the building of the house?
I don't know, I mean, maybe 25% more on the...
As much as that?
But yeah, I mean, it's a serious whack. We had the first bill through the other day and it's pretty shy as water a bit, but...
And you didn't laugh when you opened the envelope?
Hey.
As the building continues, work on the farm must go on. For Sam, this is a completely new way of life. After starting his career as a retail manager of a large DIY shop on the mainland, Sam has abandoned any idea of a life in business and will now be working alongside his father. He hopes to take over the farm when Tim eventually retires. In such a remote location, self-sufficiency is a necessity.
So where do they go for slaughter? Do you slaughter them yourselves?
They go to the mainland if we're doing them into like difficult stuff like sausages and things like that. But when they're just for our own consumption, and literally it's sort of, I think my aunt's got a name on one and sort of Gran on the other one. So so yeah, we do them ourselves. So that's a new one for me to learn. I haven't done that before, but...
In the short time he's been here, Sam has already learned how to milk the cows on his own.
Simple as that.
Have you found it quite easy to learn how to do this?
It was perhaps the thing I was most nervous about. How the hell am I going to do the cows? But it's really actually quite simple. Anyone who came here could get the hang of it. Lots to keep us busy, you know, sort of with learning how to look after Isla, and then, you know, the stuff on the house, and then the stuff here. There's loads of new stuff, so it's
learning curve.
about 3 or 4 steep learning curves at the moment, but it's all good fun. So you know, it's good to be doing it really.
If the weather obliges, the house could go up quickly. It'll be made up of timber frame sections, specially made on the mainland.
When the timber frames arrive, I mean, that's a huge quantity of cargo, isn't it?
We've got to get our heads around exactly how that will be. So we've been talking to the company about what sort of size each frame will be. And we think we'll probably have to stand them up on the trailer. So we'll rig something up so that they're safe coming across the island.
Presumably you've got to get out of the chalets.
Yeah, we're staying in one of our self-catering lets, and that's booked up from Easter onwards, and then everything is booked out. So if we can't get into the house by then, we're back in one spare room in Mum and Dad's house, which for the 3 of us and all our stuff is going to be pretty awkward.
And you have probably one of the most magnificent views anywhere in Britain here, haven't you? What do you think when you look out and see this?
It's
To be honest, having only been living here a few months, every time I walk down the lane and look out there, I just give myself a little sort of pinch and think, God, I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's not like this every day,
No.
but it is often enough to think.